What up, though?
Welcome to another episode of the Soulful Stir. My name is Diamond Simone.
And this your girl, Tosh.
Tell me something good, Tosh.
I don't know. It's been a slow week. But we do officially have a YouTube channel going. So that's good news.
That is good news.
We are literally working, 2 works. Every day I'm working, I'm coming home, and I'm working on the pod. And we're getting stuff accomplished. So that's the good news for me this week is that, shameless plug, we do have our YouTube channel, the Soulful Stir Podcast on YouTube now. Mm-hmm. Please follow us. Please watch, engage, like the posts, like the episodes, leave some comments, leave us some reviews, give us some feedback. We would love to hear what you guys have to say.
So I was actually going to save that segment for our announcements at the end, but that works out just fine. Don't worry.
We still gonna announce it at the end.
Yeah, we're gonna spin the block. I was just about to say we're gonna
announce it because we plugging this in everywhere. Okay, if you follow me on social media, on any platform, well, not any, because I haven't really been on TikTok, but if you follow me on Instagram or on Facebook for the last 3 weeks, you'll see I don't talk about nothing but the pod, okay? So we gonna plug this in again at the end because we can do that.
I agree, and that's how we grow. This is a slow build, a new thing for us, and we're really excited to hit the ground running, but we're gonna need your help. And we appreciate you guys that's been listening. We've been getting a lot of feedback, great feedback, and great comments. We really appreciate it. I'm just going to let you know, for my good news report, I had a really, really great session with the Mama Biz Fellowship. I was just really moved this weekend, being able to connect with so many different moms and birth workers and advocates has been very rewarding for me. And I'm enjoying myself so far. I really am. And the other thing that I do want to mention is that my doula baby, who's also my god baby, she had her dedication yesterday. So shout out to her. Shout out to her mom and her village. They're doing such a phenomenal job with raising her. And I couldn't be more proud. I was very happy to be there yesterday.
Well, shout out to you too, because you are a part of that village. You brought her you helped bring her into the world in multiple ways. And I can personally attest to the fact that you have been instrumental in helping bridge the gap for her mom and standing in space for her and holding space for her. So shout out to you too, because people don't realize like how much of emotional labor it is to just do that, not only as the parent, but as the village as well, especially when you are a person who truly cares about the people that you love. You tend to give a lot of yourself. So shout out to you too, because you've been helping and doing what you need to do with that too. So
well, thank you, Tasha. I appreciate that. I really do. The other thing I wanted to share is that yesterday, I had to turn in this paper, and I didn't realize, I thought the paper was due today, but it was due yesterday. And when I say I looked at the clock and I had like 2 hours to read a case study and write this paper, like I felt like Jodeci when they were singing in that in the studio that one time when they were singing Life. Talking about time is slipping away from me. Exactly. I turned that paper in at 11:58, y'all. 11:58. I'm not lying to you. That's just one testament of how God, the ancestors, all of them with an end is on my side. Because there's no way. And it was a great quality paper too, might I add. So that's my good news report.
As much as I have gone to school, because I've been to school pretty much all of my life.
You really have.
Yes. And
stay in school.
I will tell you that, I'm not going to say this is right. So, for the young adults listening, for the people who still in school, don't be like me. But I feel like some of my best work got done under pressure. Like, I remember being in undergrad, coming home from a party at 3 o'clock in the morning. I let my stupid best friend, and I hope Bridget hear this too, because it was Bridget's fault. I'm blaming Bridget, but this is when we were in our journalism program in college, and we literally had an 8 o'clock class. I don't know who picked this 8 o'clock class, but I believe it was Bridget, because we was trying to like scam our way out of going to class every day. And we had an 8 o'clock class, and we literally came home from a party one morning at like 3, and I had to stay up from 3 until like 6 o'clock typing a paper, took a 40-minute nap, woke up, got on the shuttle, and made it to school in time to turn my paper in.
You had to take a shuttle?
Yes, because I went to Georgia State for undergrad.
I wouldn't have made it.
And,
know right now.
You don't really have any other choice, because if it ain't the shuttle, you was going to be walking like 5 or 10 miles. So I went to Georgia State for undergrad. And if anybody is old enough to remember the 1996 Olympics. So when the Olympics came to Atlanta, they made this housing situation, which when I was at Georgia State, we called it the Village, because it was like called Olympic Village or something like that during the Olympics. And when I say all of our buildings were named, these were our resident halls. All of them were something Greek. So we would have like Spartacus, Ithacus. I forgot the other. I have to find out what the other buildings were, but we had like 4 buildings, and because they were made for the Olympics, they were made literally adjacent to the Georgia Tech campus. Georgia State campus is probably 5 or 10 minutes away from where we used to live. Like, because Georgia State is a traditional commuter school, we didn't have on-campus housing like close to our actual school. So we would have to ride a shuttle from the school to our dorms and vice versa. So in the morning when class starts, or it's like before classes, you would look out your window of your dorm and you would see a line of people waiting for the shuttles, but they came like every 5 or 10 minutes. So they ran throughout the day. Like, they literally would just come to the Village and go to the school and back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, like an airport shuttle almost. But yes, we had to ride a shuttle to school.
Well, I went to Eastern Michigan, and maybe there were shuttles. I never took the shuttle. I don't know anything about a shuttle, but the campus wasn't that big.
Yeah. Like, I could have shuttles at MSU, because my brothers went to MSU.
Oh well, MSU is like Lansing. Like, all of Lansing is a city in itself. And that's kind of how
Georgia State is. Georgia State literally has buildings everywhere downtown Atlanta, but we don't have a traditional. One thing about MSU that's different from GSU is that MSU is still more of a traditional campus in a city. Like, MSU reminds me of UGA, like University of Georgia. Athens and Lansing are similar to me, where it's a regular city, people live there, but literally majority of everything that goes in the city surrounds that school. Whereas Georgia State is just like a drop in the middle of the city of Atlanta, which we probably need to talk about that in a full episode about college experiences, because I don't care what anybody says, hands down, I feel like I had the best college experience ever, because I went to college from 2005 to 2009 in Atlanta during the SNAP era.
That sounds pretty lit.
So
I might not debate you on that,
when
honestly.
I'm talking about clubbing,
that sounds parties, like a great time to be in college.
It was. Listen, that was that business casual era. I was wearing peplum skirts.
We were too.
Sweating at the club.
Oh, girl. Yeah. I kept a skirt and some heels on.
Yeah, that was a whole nother era. So we definitely had to do a college episode. But yes, so yeah, we had shuttles. And
yeah, that sounds wonderful. It just sounds stressful to me, because when I say like Eastern, you can get from North Campus to South Campus in like 5 minutes by foot, like 5 to 7 minute walk, just straight across campus. It was not that big of a campus. But shout out to EMU. I really enjoyed my time there. I met some phenomenal people. Most of the people that I came across were just good folks, Yeah. And lifelong friendships that I have with people that some of the people that I met at Eastern. But you telling that story about you being up and being at the club until 3 and having to do that paper, you just reminded me of how me and some of my friends, that were we were on the same dance team drove to New York impulsively, like with little to no money. Like, I promise you, and they're probably gonna listen to this and be cracking up, but we literally drove to New York impulsively for, it was like a turnaround trip. I can't even say it wasn't even a whole weekend. It was literally a turnaround trip, and it was during finals, and we had finals the next day.
Oh, y'all crazy.
And we got there like early, like dumb early. I remember having a similar situation, going to sleep for like 30 minutes, waking up, having to go all the way to South Campus to take my final. And I really feel like I remember us like skimming books like in the back of the car, like driving back from New York. So we definitely have to have a conversation about this on a full episode about college experiences, because that's really just the tip of the iceberg. You know, college was just a time, if you will.
College was a time. If I have to rank them, I would probably say college, law school, then grad school. The only reason why I would put grad school last, like when I went and got my I have a double master's from Clark Atlanta University. Shout out CAU Panthers. But when I went to Clark, I had a very small cohort, and we are all still cool to this day. Like, I will say that, like, Essence, Keva, Terrence, Mika, I feel like I'm leaving somebody out, Aretta. It's maybe one or two people that I'm leaving out, but we had a very small cohort, and we did everything together. Like, I love them people. Like, I let them people come to my house. We studied. We did all kind of stuff together. But I was in a different time in my life. Like, I was also working full time. I had just bought a house. I had like 2 businesses that I had just started. So as social as I was in grad school, I wasn't as social as I was in like law school and undergrad, because in law school I was forced to not work. Like, you can't work. You have to focus on school. So I couldn't do nothing but study and be social. I didn't have work to go to until my 3L year. And undergrad was kind of like that. I worked, but you don't work no real job. So it wasn't a big deal. But like, I was selling stocks.
I had a real job in undergrad.
I mean, I had like a real job, but when I say a real job, I mean like a career. Like, when I was in grad school, I was selling stocks for E-Trade. Like, I was like I had a real grown-up job, so I couldn't like get off. You know what I'm saying? Then when I stopped selling stocks, I started selling insurance. So I had like real grown-up job. Like, when I was in college and undergrad, I worked for like Zara. I worked for Baker's. I worked for Metro PCS. Like, those was real jobs, but there wasn't no like careers. Yeah, I had like real jobs that folks was trying to, support their family on in grad school. So it was a different serious type of situation. So I couldn't be as social, but I still kicked it. Don't get me wrong. I was still in them streets.
You want to know what's so interesting? I was gonna go to CAU. I had got accepted. That was my top choice, Clark Atlanta, and it was just so expensive. Yeah. And at the time, when it came time to make a decision, Eastern was offering me more money, and I think my mom, I know my mom, she also started to like get a little bit more concerned about me leaving the house and, being out of state. She's like, well, Eastern is far enough to where, I won't be up there every weekend, but you won't have to catch a flight home, just in case of an emergency or, what have you. But yeah, that was my top choice. So I didn't know you went to CAU for grad school.
I went to CAU for grad school.
That's pretty cool.
Only because they gave me a scholarship. Like, I had applied at a lot of different schools, but they gave me a very hefty scholarship, so I took it.
Amazing.
I have my master's at CAU in criminal justice and sociology. I love that experience. Don't get me. I absolutely love that experience. I think I might have had 1B the entire time I was there. Like when I say me and my cohort, we did good. Like, we all like held each other down. Like, that was a really good experience. I had the same type of community in law school too. Don't get me wrong, we all looked out for each other, but law school is a different type of stress. Like, so
I've heard.
Yeah, that was different.
Law school and med school.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that on our
let's save that episode for a longer episode. We can really get into the nitty gritty. So let's move along to our health and wellness segment, mind, body, and balance.
Well, we had this conversation this week, and I actually had this conversation this weekend with some other people. And then right before we started recording, I saw this clip and it kind of aligned with everything I was saying. But I see a lot of people, and I talked about this a little bit on my story on social media like last week, where I think we're in this point where everybody's trying to be consistent with workouts and all that other stuff. And that's all well and fine. But we have to like realize, you know, it's not just about the physical aspect of it. Like working out is really spiritual. I'm a firm believer of just getting your body in motion, getting your blood flowing. It helps you just have the energy to not only manifest and do things a certain way and do them properly, but, you know, you're feeding your organs, you're getting your organs to work. Like once your body is working in its optimal function, your mind works in its optimal function. So like people always ask me, like, one of the things that I do to help circumvent my grief is working out. Because when I work out, when I start experiencing things or coming up against physical roadblocks and I make it through it, it literally teaches me that if I can push through this physically, I could push through something mentally. You know what I'm saying? So I think I just want to like bring awareness to that. And the point of also too, we have to make sure we're holding ourselves accountable. Yeah. Because the clip that I watched before starting recording tonight, there's a pastor, and I'm going to repost it actually on the Social Stir Instagram page, so you can look out for it, so you can actually see the clip for yourself, either before or after you hear this episode. But essentially, he was saying that, like, you know, when you're ill and you have things going on, like religion keeps people sick, because he talks about how people are often bringing up other sins, but they don't talk about the sin of gluttony. Like people will have diabetes and they'll say, well, that's the devil and I'm gonna pray it away, but they never pray them Twinkies away. They don't pray the honey buns away.
Why every time somebody start talking about gluttony and like
Twinkie is the fattest,
yeah, like why people always bring up Twinkies? Like
Twinkie is the fattest thing you can eat. Like if you gotta eat a pastry,
why is it always a Twinkie
with some cream skeeting out the middle? That's a problem. Like, let's just keep it a buck.
Skeeting out the middle.
I don't eat gushers.
Busting out the middle.
I don't want nothing skeeting out the middle. Like, it's just a thing. Like, am very subconscious about that. But like,
oh my god,
saying like, and don't get me wrong, I do believe in prayer. Like, I don't want nobody to misconstrue this, and I do believe that you need to pray. But I think instead of praying for that, you need to pray for your discipline. You need to pray for God to give you the discipline to push away from that table. And I don't want anybody to hear this. Like, let's be 100% clear too. I don't want anybody to hear this and think that I'm trying to like weight shame or anything. I don't think people should work out for weight. I think you should work out for just overall health. And I don't think that means that if you're working out, you want to be super skinny, because I work out to gain weight. But that's also a discipline thing. And I feel like when you lack discipline, it shows up in a lot of ways and we don't hold ourselves accountable. And
yeah, it falls into everything that we do in our lives. I can see that.
Yeah.
Just, lacking discipline, full circle. I'm glad that you brought this up, because I know that we've been going back and forth and having some conversations around manifestation and working out and the correlation between those two. And I think it's really important to talk about these things on the pod. The biggest thing and the biggest takeaway for me with you saying this is that saying, faith without work is dead. Yeah. You can't pray something, away and neglect to do the work behind it. There is a call for discipline if you want change in your life. And that's whether it's working out or advancing your career or getting through depression, navigating grief, whatever it is, it's going to require some level of discipline, some level of action.
And most commonly we see that where people will sit here, especially in this age, like I don't want to make this segment about like religion, but I think it is very telling and it has to be brought up because there seems to be a lack of balance in religion sometimes. But with that being said, I think that balance, like it's just needed in life. And for example, you'll see it a lot in churches that preach like a prosperity gospel, where people will sit here and just pray like, I just need God, give me $1 million. God, I just need some money. Instead of saying, God, show me how to stop spending money on stuff that I don't need. You know what I'm saying? Like having some type of principle to discipline yourself, because we talk about that all the time too, and to bring that religion or that faith aspect back around full circle. Like you said, faith without works is dead. We also are taught that God blesses you when you are a good steward. So instead of saying God bless me, why aren't you trying to be a good steward? And that's just not, once again, with your money, but with everything. You can't say, I want to lose weight, and then pull up at Popeyes and be like, let me get an 8-piece family meal when it's only you in the car. Like, you know, it's just a level of discipline. And I can say that because
Tosh, what if they wanted like a little snack for the end, a little 2 pieces then, and then they wanted to have like the rest for later? Maybe they were saving the other pieces for lunch.
My point is not the amount of chicken, is what you eating. Is don't go to Popeyes at all. Go to Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Go somewhere else. And everybody
get you a salad.
Listen, and I'm guilty. Like I'm gonna keep it real. I am guilty. I will get up. I will sit on this couch and complain to my friends and be like, oh my God, I feel like I'm gaining some weight. I'm going to go to the gym. And I'll go to the gym and they'll be like, what you doing? I'll be like, I'm about to go to Chick-fil-A and hit the drive-thru right quick. After I leave the gym. Crazy, right? Insane. But because I know I do that, is why discipline? I don't sit here and burden people with my problems and sit here and complain about that. I just figure it out. Because I feel like everything has to be done in moderation. There has to be balance. Like I don't believe in people just, you know, I ain't gonna do nothing but eat salads every day. Like, you gotta treat yourself. You gotta give yourself something. But we have to know when enough is enough.
Yeah, I agree. Knowing when enough is important in every aspect of life. Yes, I think that's so important. Yeah. You mentioned a couple of things, and I wanted to bring up a point. One of the points that I was thinking is when you were talking about prayers and how people pray for specific things. What happens when you communicate or ask for the discipline to not mishandle things that you pray for? The discipline to handle your finances in a way that will allow you to continue to manifest more. Because you can pray for more, but if mismanagement is the issue,
it's a big deal.
Then, I mean, what good is it? You know, I think we kind of skip over that part of things of like looking forward and saying, that's something that I ask for in a different way. But the things that I pray for, I always ask for the knowledge and the discernment to recognize when I've received those blessings and to not mishandle things or people that have been put in my life to get me to the next phase, or just to simply make a difference. The people that you've sent, that God has sent to be a part of my life, for the things that I pray for.
That's a level of spiritual maturity, and I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit for it. Because I say that all the time, like, especially to my little brothers, like when they say they want something, I'll be like, well, you pray for a cake, but God gives you butter, eggs, flour, all this other stuff, and you like, okay, well, God, but I want cake. And he like, okay, well, this is how you about to make your cake. Like, you didn't, so that teaches, that's two things, twofold. It's, you have to be specific in your prayer, enough to say like, God, I want a ready-made cake. I want this. Like, I don't want just a cake. So that's twofold. Or it's another thing. It's stop. You know, that's one of those things of you can't see the forest for the trees. Like, you so busy looking for cake, you don't even realize that you got all the ingredients in front of you. And I think we can use that same analogy when you talk about relationships and partners and things of that nature, where you're so busy comparing yourself or looking for one thing in a partner that you don't even see that you already have it.
I think that's a major component, and that's why I've learned through time to be specific about my prayers, but then also to think ahead when I'm asking for things. You know, I think it just makes such a big difference. And I do want to share like something that I have been planning to talk about for Mind, Body, and Balance. It's just simply, again, the fact that grief is very ghetto.
Oh, God.
This past week, and I know I had spoken with you about it last week, I came across a video on Instagram, and it was a young lady whose father apparently had been incarcerated. He came to her school to surprise her. I was watching the video, and the young lady starts screaming, "Daddy!" And I swear, like, all of the hairs on my body probably stood up, and I just immediately like scrolled like after that, and all of the feels like came back. And so this week I really was kind of sitting in that and like thinking about my dad a lot. I mean, there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about him. But something that came across my mind, I was talking with a colleague of mine today. I've realized how grief has made me so detached from my phone. I've read that it's aligned with you're trying to just simply disassociate and emotionally process what's presently in front of you. And I think that makes the most sense. That makes the most sense for what's in alignment with my experience, because I know like it'll be almost 2 years now, which is insane. Mm-hmm. But when everything was happening in the thick of it, you know, I was constantly on my phone and people were constantly calling me. I mean, people from all over the world calling, texting, FaceTiming, you know, I'm having these long conversations. And not only that, but I'm talking to people in real life, face to face, to the point where when the smoke settled and everything was clear, all I wanted was some peace and quiet time. And since then, I've been very determined to have that peace. Yep. So much so that it has fizzled into some of my personal relationships to where, you know, some people I feel like may feel some type of way about my level of communication, but it has nothing to do with them. Yeah. It has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with the fact that I just want to be present and I just want some quiet time. And my desire is to be more cautious of the conversations that I entertain, of the way that I choose to, or the things that I choose to give energy to, if you will.
Well, I think I deal with that a little bit with people. I've noticed that some relationships, since losing my son, have greatly changed. And that's because I just simply feel that sometimes people, and I give people grace, but people don't know how to handle you. I think when you go through extreme situations, and it shows, because I have a few people that I don't really have close relationships with anymore. And it's not intentional. It's just kind of the way the chips fell after all was said and done.
Yeah, same here.
And a lot of that is because I will address the fact that they don't know how to have conversations with me. Like, I feel like,
because the conversations are different, right?
Well, no, I feel like they're stuck in a bubble. They're stuck in a grief bubble, and it's weird because I feel like I am the one who lost. Like, I'm the one who suffered this direct loss. But every time we do converse, you're like, oh, I just don't be knowing what to say because I just can't believe this happened to you. And I'm like, I can't believe it happened to me either, baby. But life got to go on. Like, I won't lie and sit here and say that I don't cry every single day. Every single day since, for sure, October of 2023, I've cried every day. I probably cry every other day between March of 2023 and October of 2023 because I lost my niece first, and I was trying to not grieve so much so out loud that my son saw it. But after I lost Royce, it was just kind of like, whatever. Like, I literally deal with this every single day. Like, I know that it's sad that I lost my son. You don't have to keep reminding me that I lost him. Like, I don't want to call you to have a regular conversation and you like, I just can't believe this happened. I'm so sorry. And I'm so sorry you had to go through that. And it's like, I know. I'm sorry
Yeah.
too. Trust me, this is my reality, but I don't like the constant reminders. Like sometimes I could be totally fine and somebody will say something to trigger me and then I'm upset. Like, you
But it's
know.
so interesting, like, that's your experience, because I think mine has been a bit of the opposite. It's been a bit of me experiencing people not having as much grace for me, or, you know, almost having the expectation. It seems, I can't say what their expectations are, but it seems that it's like this, oh, she should be okay, you know, now. But I think that proximity matters. And I also think that I think that this is something that is so specific. Grief is such a specific experience, and it's so shattering that if you have never been through it, it's very hard to understand or to, you know, empathize with someone who has or is presently going through it.
Well, look, I don't want to say I'm a grief expert, but because I've been through so much grief, like, so, you know, I lost one of my grandfathers in 2020, the other one in 2021. And one of them was actually like my father. Like my dad's dad was completely hands-on, stepped in and fill all the gaps and the spaces that my father did when I was growing up. So that when I lost him, it was like losing my dad. But I'm going to make an assumption and say when I'm comparing our situations, I think it's like that because people expect you to lose your parents. People expect your parents to go before you. Yeah. But nobody expects to lose a child. Like I didn't have people treating me like this when my granddaddy died. Like, and these are the same people who've been around me all my life who knew how I felt about my granddaddy. But when he passed away, people was like, oh, you know, your granddaddy died. Okay, you so sad. Okay, but all right, moving on. Like, because people expected that. Not only was he dealing with cancer, he was sick, but he was the parent. You know what I'm saying? You expect to bury your parents. So I think people, when nobody in society expects to bury their kid. So I think it just takes people by storm. And I think it just shocks the conscience when it happens, especially when it happens to someone close to you. Because I will say sometimes I'm on the phone with my best friends and we could be talking about Royce and I could be okay. And my friend, she'll just start crying. Like I'll just hear, I'll be like, what, why are you crying? She's like, I just been thinking about Royce and I've been seeing pictures on my phone. And like people, it takes people by storm, especially those people that I had kids, like my kids play with their kids. You know what I'm saying? My son played with their kids and different stuff. And I know people are taking it different, but I noticed that too, where I've gotten the response where I can talk about losing my niece and how that grief really took me by surprise because it was the first loss, like in this cluster of losses that we've had. And people will be like, oh, it's so sad that you lost your niece. But once again, they kind of brush over it. You know what I'm saying? But when it gets to Royce, they try to like treat me a lot different. And I get it because Royce was my child. I physically had him. But if you ask my sisters, if you ask my mama, if you ask anybody in our family, Raven was like my first child. Like anybody that knows me knows my niece, my joy. I took really good care of her too. But Raven was the oldest. Raven was like my first child. I remember my sister coming home telling people she was pregnant. I remember when her water broke. Like that was my first child. So even though biologically I did not give birth to her, when she passed away, I felt like I lost a kid. But I can say that to people and they still are harping on Royce. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, oh, well, that wasn't your kid, but it's the same feeling.
Yeah, that's why I feel like proximity is a factor for people that are trying to also understand and empathize and process grief with you. But it's just one of those things, like if you've never been through it, I don't even expect for you to understand. But what I do expect is for people to respect my boundaries.
Absolutely.
You know, when it comes to things. And I don't expect understanding again because they've never been through it, but I wish that people did have a better sense of just grace, you know, and patience, because, you know, on top of the fact that I'm just a very busy person, it's like, if you know, you know, like people don't even know all of the things that I do in my life, like on a daily. And there are some people who do know, and they often question how I'm able to get everything done. Yeah. But I'm an incredibly busy person, and you add grief on top of that. I've just become so focused on processing my own emotions and getting through the day. Yeah. That is very common for me to reach out to somebody that I've been thinking about and say, hey, I was just thinking about you. Hope you're doing well. And I may not text them back for days. And it's so unintentional. Yeah. Like, I truly mean well, but it happens.
And it's crazy because I know I try to give those around me grace. I will say that my village has been very good about respecting my boundaries when I say, like, hey, you know, I'm not having a good day today. And they're like, okay, well, just call me later. You know, I'll be like, hey, you need anything? Because I understand, too, that I'm not the only person that has needs. So, like, my friends, anybody can attest to me saying, like, hey, I'm not really having a good day today. What's up? Like, that's usually how I respond, because if it's something serious, I know, you know, you might need me. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I'll be selfless in that moment. But if not, just be honest about it. You know what I'm saying? Just tell me. Like some of my friends, I'll text them and be like, hey, I'm not having a good day today. They be like, oh, I know, I ain't want nothing. You know, just call me when you get a chance. And I respect that. So shout out to them for that. But I will say that I know too, I get in my own way sometime.
We all do.
And like you said, I think I will sit here and get so busy. But I say that to say that for the first time, I regard my nieces and nephews like my kids. And we had this conversation yesterday, or was it you? I don't know if it was me and you or if it was me and another friend, but about, like, growing up, it's certain stuff that our parents just didn't express to us because, you know, it was just kind of like adult things. And even though a lot of my nieces and nephews are adults now, I usually don't tend to express emotions and stuff to them. But, like, my niece reached out to me yesterday, and I have been having a bad weekend, so I never responded to her text until today. And I just kind of told her, like, listen, your auntie is not in a good place. And surprisingly, she said some things to me that made me really, like, you know, wake up. And I know that a lot of that is because of the work that my sister is doing with her. My sister's a licensed therapist. I've been doing a lot of emotional work with my niece, but she was like, auntie, you can't keep being so busy that you don't feel. Yeah. And that kind of hit me. Powerful. Like, I read her message and she was like, because you're only going to get worse later. Mm-hmm. And she was like, you know, you're the strongest person I know, but you have to feel this. Like, because I just kept saying, like, I'm just moving. I don't really know how I feel. Like, she kept asking me how I felt about stuff. And I was like, I don't know. And she was like, but you cannot continue not to feel.
Yeah, and I think that this is a conversation again. Like, we have to have a whole episode just about grief itself, because there are those moments where you get so busy and then you have a little bit of idle time, and then it all kind of hits you at once.
Yeah, but this is the balance.
Pockets, there are pockets where I get angry. You know, I have days where I'm just upset. Like, I'm mad. You know, I get upset with my dad, who's no longer here for, you know, reasons. And it's just like,
yeah, we got to talk about that, getting upset with dead people. Because I be so mad. I be telling my sister, I be like, I'm so mad at my niece because I feel like she came and got my son. My son loved my niece. You know what I'm saying? She loved him. And I be like, y'all, because, and so now my family got dark humor. So now that we lost my nephew in January, me and my sister, like, all them cousins, they just keep like, God, can you go get my other cousin? Can you go get somebody else? And I'm like, I literally had to sit in my living room one day and I was like, listen, I know somebody would have looked at me like I was crazy, but I was like, Raven, Royce, Rashad, like, don't y'all go pull nobody else. Like, quit asking for people to come join y'all on the other side, because that's crazy. Yeah. Like, it's absolutely insane. Yeah, like, we gonna talk about that in another episode, because I still can't believe that my family is dealing with all this. But yeah, like, absolutely weird. Okay,
I understand. And we can talk about grief, you know, we can go on and on, but definitely want to save it. On a lighter note, let's move into our sound check segment.
So I don't have a lot for sound check because I know I know we not in a rush, but for sake of time, I don't really have anything major. But I will say, so today, as you can see, I was watching the Wayans brothers, and I feel like I could bring that up during this sound check segment because I feel like that's one of those shows for the culture that a lot of people don't talk about. Like we always talk about Martin, we always talk about Fresh Prince, but there were a lot of musical segments on this show that had some bops. Like one of the episodes I started watching earlier today had Faith Evans, Don't Be Afraid. And people, so this is a sound check part. I'm just going to say that. 90s, listen, blonde hair Faith Evans was a beast. People don't realize that on some of those first Mary J. Blige albums that we love the most, and Mary J. Blige is my ultimate, that's my Capricorn queen, okay?
You like Mary J. Blige?
I love Mary J. Blige.
I didn't know that.
Girl, when I'm talking about going crazy about me as a young kid, like I made my mom and them buy me combat boots and a baseball jersey.
Like we did talk about this briefly.
Yes, I was deep in the Mary J. Blige streets. But she used to write
on here, or
no
was she...
Faith. They was like a scene that Marlon was like Sean was going on a date with a girl, and they played some old school Faith in the background. But those are some like Faith used to write for Mary back in the day. Like Faith is really a beast. Like Faith vocally can sing and she can write, and I think she's one of those people. If I'm not mistaken, let me look right quick. I don't like to misquote, especially while we live. But if I'm not mistaken, Faith Evans is a Cancer, and that tells me all I need to know about her as a woman in love. No, I take that back. She's a Gemini. That's weird, but okay. Yeah, she's a Gemini.
Geminis are interesting.
Yeah, Gemini women are really interesting. My brother's a Gemini, and yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
It's the Gemini men for me.
So that's different. I didn't realize. I thought she was a Cancer, but I will say that I think a lot of her choices in men, being it Biggie and Stevie J, have kind of put a damper on who she let that overshadow her, because even the husband that she had after Biggie passed, she got caught with like cocaine. They were in the airport together. Like I say all that to say that I feel like she chooses men that bring her down. She's extremely talented. Faith Evans is somebody that we don't really talk about when we talk about them 90s vocalists. We bring up Brandy, we bring up Monica, we bring up Mary. We don't talk about Faith as much as we should.
Yeah.
But Faith is a beast. Like Faith
I can see that.
Them first few like that first album of her, like, oh man,
tell you
like
what my favorite.
Oh, Faith, listen.
My favorite Faith song, and I can hear it any time of the day, any moment, any hour, is I Love You.
Really?
I love that song. It's such
I love that
pretty
song too. But I can't, and that's crazy because
there are others. Don't get me wrong. Like, you could turn on a Faith Evans track and just, flow. But I Love You is just, I don't know. It just hits different.
My favorite song is Anything You Need, but that's another thing. So that Keep the Faith album was really the one. That's the one that had like Love Like This and stuff on it. But I think it didn't get a lot of play because it came out in 98. So I think it was kind of overshadowed by the death of Biggie. It was so much stuff that happened in the year preceding that release that we didn't get. She didn't get what she was supposed to get out of that album. But yeah, so I would say Faith is one of those people that like I just want to bring up for this week's sound check because she had a lot of bops. Like Faith had a whole lot of bops, and I don't think she get a lot of credit.
And shout out to the Wayans brothers for highlighting her. And I think that the Wayans family, that could be a whole nother segment in itself. Girl,
like, please. We're going to talk about them on the Zaddy episode. We're going to make an episode for Zaddies. Because if you watch have you ever watched Papa's House?
No.
With Damon Wayans and his son, Damon Wayans Jr.? Listen.
No, I haven't watched it. I'll watch it and see.
I am weak for a man with a beard, okay? And Damon Wayans, I don't know what it is, but he done got older and he done got grown and sexy, and this salt and pepper beard, even with the bald head, it just do it for me.
He's very handsome.
He's a handsome
he was doing
man. The nephews, all the second generation Wayans, like the Greg Wayans. Have you seen? He's been going viral on Instagram lately. Greg Wayans.
Oh yeah,
fine.
I have seen Greg.
Fine.
Yeah, they are
fine. Okay,
handsome.
Listen.
Very handsome.
They daddy, Mr. Wayans, pull-out game is super weak. Because you had all them kids, but he is somebody I will say I will let you do that, because the Wayans, every last one of them are talented. Even the ones that we don't know,
that's behind
they
the
give
scenes.
credit to. Like watching them as men, Damon, Sean, and Marlon, and I think Keenan, if I'm not mistaken, they were on like a panel together, and somebody asked them, who is your most funny sibling? And people were expecting them to say each other as men. They were like, no, Kim is the funniest. And they were like, they was like, really what? They were like, no, our sisters are really funnier than we are. They just don't get a lot of credit. But Kim Wayans is hella funny to me. Yeah. Like Kim Wayans is super funny, but they got another sister that writes jokes and they say she's super funny too. That's Greg Wayans' mom.
They are all super talented and they've done like so much for the culture. They have such a staple in Hollywood that I don't think it's enough shine. And
a blemish-free reputation. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
For you have a whole family and ain't nobody got no scandals.
Yeah. They they're just really, I have no words. There's so many words that I could say, positive words I could say about the Wayans family. So shout out to them. You know, you never know. Maybe one day they'll hear this episode. Listen, but we have to do a whole segment, you know, just about them, because I would love to do a deep dive on their history and just their accolades. Yeah. And, you know, just do a deep dive into the different films that are so relevant to our lives, especially as Black people. You know, we got to talk about that. But I did want to share my part of the sound check segment. And I know I talked to you about this earlier. And I'm laughing because, I don't know, it's just such an interesting thing. So this morning I came across this profile. It popped up on like, you know, it was just in my feed of things you may like on Instagram. And there's this page. It's called Dearly Blossom. Blossom is a puppet. It's a cute little pink puppet.
Y'all, please go look at this, because I just want y'all to see. I just want y'all to see.
On Instagram, the profile is Dearly Blossom. And Blossom is a cute little pink puppet, one that you would see on like Sesame Street. But what's interesting about Blossom is whoever is voicing Blossom has a beautiful voice, and they have a hyper focus on the jazz genre.
I think it's a random Asian person. Why I think that, I don't know, but continue.
I'm so interested to see who the person is that's behind this voice, because I came across this video and they were scatting over like classic jazz music. They were scatting over horns, and I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. It was so beautiful, so well done. They have a high level of expertise in this. You can just tell by the way that it's done. And I think the fact that they chose to go on Instagram and develop this persona as a puppet with this immaculate voice and expertise is just chef's kiss. That's all I can say. It stimulated parts of my brain that I can't even like tell y'all exactly what was happening when I was listening to the videos that were on this page. But there's another video the profile shares, and they're just singing and scatting over this jazz record. And I was just so blown away. I was so like happy listening to it. It was one of the most beautiful things that I've heard today. So shout out to Blossom, the puppet. I followed the page.
I need to do some self-reflection, because for some reason, and I know y'all gonna laugh at this, but it's real. I feel like people think I say outlandish stuff, but this is really how I feel.
I'm so concerned as to what you're about to say.
For whatever reason, when I hear jazz music like that and when I hear scatting, I automatically think of Heroin.
Oh my God. Yeah, I would love to.
Because of like like, you know what I'm saying? That era, like the 30s, the 40s, that whole era.
That's what you think about?
That was the drug of choice back then. People snorted heroin. Like,
Jesus.
people were snorting heroin up until the 60s and 70s when they started doing cocaine, because you gotta think about it. Heroin was coming from the poppies and all that stuff. So World War I, World War II, they were bringing that stuff over here. So heroin was the big drug of choice. Like how now in after 2020 it's become fentanyl, and in the 80s it was crack, and in the early 2000s it was ecstasy and Molly. Back
I never thought to equate that with jazz
for whatever
music,
reason, heroin is the first thing that comes up when I hear music like that. And you know, another reason why I think about that too, this is how popular culture ruins us. So this is another quick little college story, just an aside. So one of my friends in college was so oblivious to black movies. So what me and Bridget, my best friend, we had this whole thing where we was like trying to sit her down and show her all these black movies. So we made her watch Ray. And
Why would y'all make her watch Ray?
Because it was for the culture. It was Ray. It was Jamie Foxx's best movie.
That's what y'all started with?
No, I don't think we started with
such a
that.
heavy film.
But that was one of the things.
Beautifully done.
But what I was going to say is that she was so flabbergasted that he was blind and shooting up heroin.
Let's watch Ray. Like, what?
Like,
that was the first
she was
movie
like,
of choice?
he was on drugs. Like, that's all she kept saying. And I was like, yes, he was on drugs. And she was like, but he was blind. And I was like, when people want to get high, they going to get high. Like, that's just what it was.
She said, but he was blind. I said, so?
She was like, he was blind. I'm like, yeah, but when people want to get high, they want to get high. So because of that, it, for whatever reason, like, so now you see what I'm saying, like that correlation of that scatting, that jazz and all of that stuff, it puts me in that time period of like somebody going to the bathroom and snorting a line of heroin and coming back out and like doing a jitterbug.
Well, that's very interesting, Tosh. I think you should try to do a deep dive as to why your mind correlates that or equates that to jazz. I feel so at peace when I listen to jazz. Like sometimes in the morning when I'm getting dressed and, you know, I've done all the things, I will put my jazz music on and just listen to it while I'm doing my face
I like jazz
routine and everything, taking a shower.
I like jazz, but I'm
It's soothing.
particular about jazz. Like I like lo-fi.
I am too.
I like lo-fi beats. So my favorite jazz
Is it lo-fi or lo-fi?
Lo-fi. I don't care. It's
Or
lo-fi,
is it like tomato,
lo-fi, tomato. You know what I meant?
I do, but I'm just curious. Like I don't know the correct way.
I always say
I
say both. I always say lo-fi. It depends on who I'm talking to. But my favorite jazz, I actually love Hidden Beach Unwrapped. So I like those jazz versions of those R&B and rap songs. I like instrumentals in like something that I can, I guess, I don't want to say follow, because I have other jazz artists that I like that don't cover R&B or hip hop, and I really love their music. Like I love Norman Brown. Like he's one of my favorite jazz artists. And then we actually saw a guy. So I went to the Detroit Symphony Orchestra maybe last year around this time. Maybe. I can't remember. But there's a guy named Don Was. He's actually from Detroit. And I loved him. Like he did a very great set. I enjoyed that
Never
experience.
Heard of him.
He's actually older. He doesn't look old.
I'm gonna look him up.
He's actually like in his 70s. He's, if I'm not mistaken, he's either biracial or white, but got a head full of dreads and everything. So it was a very interesting experience, but I enjoyed his music and I enjoyed that set that he did at the Detroit Symphony Orchestra. So I will say that I as much as I talk junk and be like, oh, I'm a jazz hater, I'm not really a jazz hater. I'm just particular about my jazz.
There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not really into like loud horns when it comes to jazz. I love a nice saxophone. I love a nice piano.
But we also have a big difference in musical taste, because you don't like bounce and I absolutely love bounce.
I don't. Let's talk about that in another
and we could talk about, because Rebirth brass bands, we're gonna talk about that on the next sound check. They do bounce like jazz music, but it's all New Orleans based, so it's a lot of trumpets, it's a lot of tubas, it's a lot of brass, but that will it'll take you up through there, okay?
I mean, for some people, I can trust that it will, but it's just not, bounce is just not my preference of music. But again, we'll save that for another episode. It's so interesting. I was just looking up what you said, Hidden Beach Unwrapped, and Giveon popped up for some reason. Mm-hmm. And all I could think about is someone once said, Giveon sings like he's melting. And I've never been able to unhear it.
I can see that. As much as that's a weird take, I can see that. But I like it.
I like his voice a lot. Like, I think he's extremely talented. Did I laugh about it? Yes, I did. And then I listened to a few songs and I was like, fuck, I can't unhear. Yeah. I can't unhear it.
Now, I will say to that point of these newer artists, just before we wrap up this segment, one song that I have had on repeat, which surprises me lately, is When I'm in Your Arms by Cleo Soul.
Oh, I love
like
Cleo.
I've had that. I don't really care for her. I don't really care for Snow Allegra. I've said this term to you before, and I don't think you picked up on it, but I say it to Mike all the time. I be like, I don't like low vibrational music. I don't like to feel, and maybe because I struggle with so much grief, I don't like to feel like I'm sitting in these thoughts. Like, I like stuff that's upbeat to make me feel a little different.
But it's interesting that you categorize it as low vibrational, because if you listen to what they're saying, it's actually the opposite.
But I'm thinking about the hurts, like the hurts in the music, and that it doesn't, the actual music itself is low vibrational. Like, because when you think about it, I listen to artists like Erykah Badu or Jill Scott or Common or D'Angelo, and they talk about the same stuff, but it's over a different type of a beat.
Oh, you want to hear Jill saying, you better back down before you get smacked down.
Absolutely.
You better chill.
Because why, you know what kind of strawberries my man like. Why I gotta come to the store and I'm buying stuff. And so some of y'all might be too young to know that. Y'all don't even know where that come from, and I ain't even gonna tell y'all. But how you know what kind of strawberries my man like? Talking about Raheem, right? And at that moment, as soon as you said Raheem, I would have knocked your teeth down your throat in the middle of the Trader Joe's. Oh, because I get down like that. Like, what you mean?
Not at Trader Joe's. They too nice in there. It's such a pleasurable experience. If I saw that happen at a Trader Joe's, I would be like,
I mean, that's definitely Spartan store behavior. And for people that's not from Michigan, a Spartan store is like a ghetto grocery store that smell like a meat market on the inside. That's definitely a Spartan store behavior. But at the end of the day,
my mouth would hit the floor if I saw that at Trader Joe's. I probably would drop my flower bouquet. You know,
listen,
all the
and
flowers.
My $3 chuck, because ain't nothing better than that little $3 wine.
Listen, yeah, that's something. Well, that's sound check, y'all. Let's move on to rhythm and groove, because can you believe it? We're already at an hour, Tosh.
I believe it. That's why I keep like, let me just make it kind of quick, because
we try to chop it down for y'all.
Listen, but to that point, so I got some feedback. And y'all know I love to shout out my people, because I love that y'all supporting. But my cousin Jasmine was like, listen, she's like, I've been listening. She was like, I love it because it's just like a natural conversation between homegirls. Like, so I love the fact, like, so to put y'all in our business, we said that our episodes are going to be an hour. And we literally have been trying to, like, honestly been trying to make a conscious effort to make it as close to an hour as we possibly can. But the vibes are just here. It just flow. And like, I think, as a listener, I mean, I could be biased because it's my show, but as a listener, I think because of the way our conversations flow, it's easy to listen to it go over an hour because it's just a regular conversation. Mm-hmm. So I can kind of attest to that, because even though we joke and we talk about the work that we put into the pod, because we're both putting in a lot of work to make this thing jump, I feel like the easiest portion of it is the recording, because we literally just talk and like we literally just hear. So that's why these episodes be long, because it's just a vibe, y'all.
It's a vibe. I mean, I think that in the future the episodes will be a bit shorter. At least we're just trying to.
You know what? I know for sure they'll probably be shorter when we do topicals. Like if we do a whole grief episode, do a whole college episode, they may not be as long, and I think they're a little bit longer only because we trying to hit certain points. But hey, it is what it is. Y'all
we're giving you guys valuable content.
And I'm not trying to be funny, but listen, I want y'all to listen all the way through, but I'm also human and I get it. If you gotta start listening, you 45 minutes in and you gotta start doing something else, cool, do what you gotta do, but come back and pick it up where you left off.
Hit the pause button.
Hit the pause button and come back.
return.
Sometimes you just need a reset, a refresher, and come back to it. And you could do that to the pod. And you can listen multiple times. I mean, we don't care.
Sure can.
We're fine with that.
So, jumping into rhythm and groove, I do have a question, and it's a simple question that can provoke a loaded response.
Well, good, because I didn't have anything for rhythm and groove this week.
Okay, well, I got something. My question is, do you believe that monogamy is becoming a thing of the past? Yeah.
That was my intentional noise to let y'all know that. Tomatoes.
Throwing tomatoes.
It intentionally, no. I don't think monogamy is a thing of the past. In practice and in theory, I think it is. But in reality, I don't think it is. Mm-hmm. I think it is only because people are making... I don't want to say this and sound old. And I hate it when people say this to us when we were growing up. But I think it's this younger generation that wants everything so microwaved and they want things the way they want it. Mm-hmm. So instead of wanting to put in the work of committing yourself to someone and actually forging and working on a true connection, they choose to take this cop out of I'm polygamous or I'm non-monogamous so they don't have to do the real work. Because when you commit, I personally believe when you commit yourself to one person, it's a lot of work. Because y'all are opening yourselves up. You open up this door. You have to love this person and understand this person, flaws and all. And I think I can personally attest to it because in my current situation, we've experienced the unthinkable. Like, we lost our child together. We're not a married couple. We were just a couple that valued being parents first and partners second. And when we lost our child, we kind of lost our way. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But it's so much emotional labor because guess what? Because we're the only two in it. I have to worry about him. I have to not only focus on his grief, but my grief. You know what I'm saying? And if I were not in this situation, that would be an easy cop out to say that, well, I'm dealing with so many other people, I don't have to deal with that. And I think that's it's kind of the way of how we just kind of touched on earlier of keeping yourself extremely busy, that you don't have to do the work. And I think that's what people are trying to do when they are trying to grab onto this ethically non-monogamous or polygamous lifestyle. And let's be clear, I think there's a big issue because people don't understand that there's a difference between polyamory and polygamy. Yeah. There's a big difference between that. And though people tend to think that those two things are mutually exclusive, and they're not. But even with polyamory or polygamy, I think that it's a cop-out for you to not have to do the work. Mm-hmm. Because now your excuse is, well, I have to deal with this person and you, so I can't deal with that right now. Mm-hmm. But when you and one person are in a truly monogamous situation, you are expecting this person to do a little bit more emotional labor in y'all situation because it's just y'all too. Yeah. You know, and I think that's
a lot of that comes with maturity too. Yeah. You know, and understanding, like you just said, everything that having a valuable relationship requires. Like there is a lot that's required, but when you find somebody that you feel is a good partner for you and they show up for you and they treat you well, you know, maybe things are not perfect because nobody's relationship is. I think that there is a missed component of the depth of what that means to have somebody be a witness to your life in that way, in such an intimate way that you can trust. You know, that it is going to require some work. I require a lot of work.
Yeah, you know? I mean, and I think like I said, it's a cop out.
I think it is too. Yeah. But I also think that social media glorifies having options. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with having options. if you're a single person, you know, and you are dating. And I think even that is, with that component, communication is such a big factor, because I can't tell you how many times I have dated someone and they have said, oh, you know, you're the only person I'm talking to, I'm dating. And it turns out that I wasn't. But I was always honest, because I believe in honesty. I value that. So to be in those situations where people are not honest, it's just like, what you lying for?
Yeah. And so to that point, it's weird, because not only that, but I think it's a lot of selfishness. So to put y'all in my business, I was in a situation with somebody that I actually was like, you know, really, really, really into. Like, I'm not going to front and be like, I wasn't really feeling it. No, I was really, really feeling it. And then this conversation came up about, you know, how do you feel about monogamy? Like, that's exactly how the question was framed to me. And I didn't know where it was going, but me being me, like you said, I was honest. I was like, yeah, like, that's a requirement if you about to be dealing with me. And he then goes to tell me that he believes in polyamory. And so I said, okay, that's fine. Can I have multiple men? And when you said no, so hold on. So this ain't polyamory then. So so that's the thing to me when I say there's a selfishness, and people don't understand that there's a difference between polygamy and polyamory. Because if you're polyamorous as a man or a woman, you cannot say that I'm going to date multiple people, but you can't. Because now then that becomes polygamy, because polygamy is somebody that takes multiple wives, or a woman that takes multiple husbands, but it never addresses your spouses taking other spouses. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. But if we're polyamorous, that means everybody getting it how they live. No, and so how are you mad at me for telling me that you want to be polyamorous? And I said, oh, well, if you want to do that, then I'm going to have me a little young tenderoni on the side. And homeboy was like, oh, no, you won't. And I was like, so we ain't going nowhere then. Because how you think you about to have multiple women and I can't have multiple men? Because while you're out filling a void, for whatever void, for one, that makes me feel some type of way as a woman, that you feel you need other women, because why am I not enough woman for you? Yeah. Because I know who I am. And I know I'm more than enough. Like, I'm a handful and some. Yeah. I'm more than enough for you. But how can you sit here and tell me I'm not enough for you without saying it? Pretty much that's what you're saying when you want multiple people. But you're saying that you're enough for me. But even if you are enough for me, mathematically you're not enough for me once you start spreading yourself thin. And I don't think people realize that. Like, yes, you could be enough for me, but if you're out dealing with other women, then you're not giving me all of you. And that's so selfish, that you could fill your void but I can't fill mine.
Yeah, because I think that it's expected that you should not have a void. And there's a lot of ego. But how? There's a lot of ego that comes into play. Absolutely. when you're navigating those type of situations, and there is a big misunderstanding. And one of the biggest things that I've seen is the argument that, well, other countries, they do this all the time.
Well, you don't live in another country, buddy.
You don't. And then there are other stipulations around culture, around religion, that are so different from the lives that we live, around economics.
Absolutely.
Okay, because let's talk about the fact that a lot of people who desire to have multiple partners cannot afford to have them in the ways that these other people you're comparing yourselves to,
what the standard is.
Exactly. They may have multiple wives, right? But there is a standard
in African religions and Arabic religions.
Households are upheld.
You cannot get other women until you can prove that you can take care of them. Like when you talk about African culture, Arabic culture, Islamic culture, different cultures that allow multiple wives, you have to prove yourself, literally, in your village, in your family, in your whatever that structure is, that governing body, that you can even sustain this. These ain't nobody just saying, well, I met you on 7 Mile, I met you on 8 Mile, we all gonna be together. That's not that.
Yeah, this is not that. And that is the misunderstanding. It's like, okay, I don't condemn anybody for wanting to live a non-traditional life. If that is what you want and that's what you choose to practice and you feel that's what works best for you, cool. But just make sure that you're openly communicating and that all parties involved are consenting to what's going on.
Yeah.
And I think that too often that's not the case. And a lot of times I find that women are getting into these relationships because they feel like they have to, because they are so engulfed in this relationship already, or their partner. We see the best in every situation as women, right? We always talk about potential. Oh, he has so much potential, or we can see the best in a person. That's why a lot of times, not all of us, but a lot of us will stick around.
Yeah.
We will build, a partner, or try to build someone for partnership that was just meant for us to be with for a season. Yeah. And so, that's a whole nother conversation. That gets really granular, where it's like, that was just supposed to be a seasonal situation. Yeah. And potential ain't shit if you're not doing nothing with it.
And it's crazy that you
came
say
from one of my good homegirls, shout out to my personal. But she had to put things into perspective for me at one point in my life, because I kept talking about this particular person that, oh, he got so much potential. She just blatantly told me, like, but potential is nothing if you're not doing nothing.
And we're going to put a pin in that, because we got to come back to that, because
we do.
Not saying no names, but you and I talked about a relationship that you were so shocked when I told you about this stuff. But this particular person says this about that man all the time, like, well, there's potential. And they've been together for like 11 years. And so that's my question. When we put a pin in this and we come back to it, that's my question for later, is like, how long do potential supposed to last? Like, is there an expiration date on potential?
Yeah, to where you,
because you be with a nigga for 15 years and be like, well, he got potential. Like 15, like where the potential at? You know what I'm saying? Like, where's the expiration date on this? Because are you kidding me? Like,
but that goes back. That goes all the way back to what we were just talking about. You got to know when enough is enough. Yep. We just said
all of that. That's the balance. Like, and that's what I was saying. Like, that's why I brought that up, and we end up segueing into the grief about it. But it's not just the working out. It's not just the eating. It's not just the money. It's everything you do. You got to have some kind of balance, and you got to love yourself. And this is for men and women. You have to love yourself as more than you love your partner. Like, I get it, you want to love your partner and you want to feel a certain way for them, but you also got to have a level of loyalty to yourself first and foremost. And I see a lot of men and women falling guilty, and I don't want to say guilty, but falling in that trap of feeling like, well, I love this person, so I got to stick it out. No, sometimes loving them means loving them from afar. Like, that potential only lasts for so long. It has an expiration date on it. Like, if you ain't showed me by a certain time, I got to move on.
So I'm gonna say this. In this season of my life, and through the ways that I have matured, I have realized, for me, love is just not enough.
No,
there have to be
not.
other factors. There has to be other factors at play for a relationship to work. I feel that it goes both ways. I expect my partner to hold me, to a certain standard, if you will, of what he desires in a partner too, right? So it goes both ways. But the whole synopsis of all of this is knowing when enough is enough can literally save your life.
Absolutely.
In every aspect. Especially when it comes to relationships and dealing with people. I never want to look up and realize it's been 10, 15 years plus for some people, and I'm not happy. Like, you've been with someone for the sake of you saying, just for you to say that you've been with this person. What was it for? And you're not happy, and this doesn't work for you. What does that look like? So I feel like that's a more, expansive conversation that we can kind of dive into. But for me, I think that monogamy is still very much a thing. I think that it's important to those who deem it important to them. I came across a video of Ice Cube today talking to Cam Newton about his marriage, and Cam Newton's like,
Newton
how do you do it?
Cam Newton is a clown.
That's a whole nother conversation.
But you know what?
Let's not
Speaking
get too
of
deep
that,
into
I
it.
think this is a good topic. This is one we need to. So just a shameless plug. This is one of the topics that we need to discuss when we do our live shows. Because I would love to see what other people feel about this. Like,
put a pin in it.
Yeah, we definitely gonna put a pin in it.
But I just want to add this, and then I want to move to the next segment. For the sake of time, but Ice Cube said something that was so simple yet so profound. He said, you gotta want it.
Yeah.
And that's it. You gotta want it. And that's how I feel about monogamy. You have to want to be with someone. You have to want to make it work. You have to want to do the work. You know, that's
absolutely
being in a relationship with someone entails. Like, you just have to want it. And if you don't, that's okay.
Yeah.
But don't try to keep that person around for the sake of you being selfish.
Well, that's what
and try to have your cake and eat it too.
And that's what it is.
It's like, you know, I'm gonna keep you here. I'm gonna keep you at bay because I see your worth, and I do want you, but I also kind of want to fish around and see what else is out here.
Yeah.
And let me also kind of come back and test the waters and see if I can kind of play with you, and if I can get you to allow me to have other partners as well. Bend. I want to see if I can get her to bend.
Just a quick response to that we also gonna put a pin in, because it's gonna come back up to another conversation later when we have our episodes, like our themed episodes spiritually. That brings another question to me to that, because it's, do you not trust yourself? Because people, I always see, like, when people get like tarot readings and different stuff, they'll say like, well, you know, is this the man for me? If you have doubts, then it ain't. Trust yourself, trust your inner self. And that's the thing, is to the men and the women who are trying to practice polygamy, it's, if you found this person that you love so much that you want to hold on to, do you not trust yourself that you picked this person for you, that this person is enough, that you gotta feel like I need to hold them? You trust yourself that you picked them, but you gotta hold them hostage and still have other options just in case. But people don't realize that when you start putting that just in case energy in the air, the just in case happens. But if you fix yourself on, this is the person, like, when we see those relationships that have been, those people that have been married 50 or 60 years, when you hear those men or those women talk, they say like, this is the person I wanted. I knew that this is the person I love. Nothing was going to stop me from that. They had their mind made up. Yeah. So ain't no other just in case happen. Nothing else happened, because once you focus on the outcome the way you want it, that's what it's going to be. Like, we are we are all manifestors, whether we want to think it we are or not, whether we want to use the word manifest or not. We're all manifestors. And if we sit here and in your mind you keep thinking this is the one, and you get them, that's gonna be the one. But if you think that, why are you sitting here trying to bring other people into the fold just in case? So you don't trust yourself, you don't trust your own gifts, you don't trust your thought process, you don't trust your own decision making. And that's a whole nother conversation that can go a lot of ways. But you gotta trust you.
We gotta put a pin in this, Tosh, because that's a whole
situation
for us to dive into.
Yes.
So with that being said, let's jump into the delicious dive.
I know you had something.
I do. I really do.
Just really quick. So I don't know. This is probably something else that I need to share on the page for everybody to see if they haven't seen it. But there's a writer going around that has surfaced about Michael Jackson's meal and beverage preferences while he was traveling.
I know exactly what
you're
talking about.
I find it highly hilarious that every single meal was KFC chicken. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally, breakfast, he said KFC original chicken breast, mashed potatoes, corn, biscuits, scrambled eggs, so on and so forth. Lunch, KFC original chicken breast, mashed potatoes, gravy on the side, corn.
Chris Tucker said that he loved KFC.
He did. And then it's weird because they said, like talking about the gum that he likes, and then they said that if he has to travel for consecutive days, he'll try other parts of the chicken. So he'll try the legs, the wings, and everything else, but it still had to be KFC. He was okay with not eating the breast if he was traveling consecutive days. But the most interesting part to me was he preferred to have white wine in a Diet Coke can on every flight. Then it also had an asterisk that said that he will sometimes drink tequila, gin, or Crown Royal. But it was interesting that he wanted his white wine in the Diet Coke can, because a lot of people don't realize that he did grow up Jehovah's Witness. And this particular writer that I was looking at was dated September 1st of 2003. So therefore, at that point, he had already had children and all this other stuff. And it's rumored that the reason for the Diet Coke can with the white wine in it was because his children were often on flight or in flight with him, and he didn't want them to see him drinking or consuming alcohol. And I just felt like that was funny. He didn't want them kids to see him drinking no liquor.
Yeah. No, I can see that. Like,
I mean, I can see it, but
I can see that.
I guess my issue was like Michael Jackson, of all the controversy you had, you worry about your kids saying you drink some liquor.
I mean, but
you've been touching. It's been rumored that you've been touching on children, allegedly.
But you've
been touching kids, but you don't want your kids to see you drinking liquor.
But you also have to keep in mind that was at a time where social media wasn't really a thing.
Yeah.
And
no, it wasn't.
You could shelter your children from what they were able to see and hear,
yeah,
and things like that. So they probably were not privy to any of that information, nor should they be. I feel that is something for another day.
I was about to say, yeah, because we talking about these kids and social media. Like, my coworker and I talked about that the other day, mainly with the Kanye and Kim situation. Like, your kids is gonna see this cutting up on social media, and that's like we said, that's a whole nother episode. But yes, it was just interesting. Like,
that's a whole nother episode, because I really do love Kanye West. I
do too, and I feel bad because I do, but musically his artistry is just top notch. Like,
yeah, it's that aspect for me. And it's also, I can remember specific points in my life where I heard Kanye West's music, like,
absolutely,
for hearing College Dropout for the first time. I was like in 5th grade, and that was so long ago, but I remember Through the Wire being on the radio station.
That's
and
crazy.
Hearing it is.
You were in 5th grade when?
Yep, I was in
high school.
Grade.
I was bumping the College Dropout driving to school.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
College Dropout, that was definitely like elementary going into middle school. So being able to hear that, to hear,
because it was released in 2004, and I just told you I went to college from 2005 to 2009. I remember being in college. In high school when that came out
with Power on it.
Yeah,
that was high school for me. So it's being able to like reflect on these different moments and music, and maybe this should have been sound check, but you know, Kanye is just, I believe that he is very important to the culture. Yeah. And I do. I feel
he single-handedly improved Jay-Z's career in a way that a lot of people won't ever give him credit for. Like, my first introduction to Kanye was on the Dynasty Rock La Familia album, and a lot of people don't even think about that album or know a lot about it, but that was that Jay-Z compilation where it was him, Benny Siegel, Freeway, everybody on that album, but Kanye produced probably 85% of that album.
Yeah, I mean, Kanye has touched so many projects that we probably don't know about.
Yeah, we gotta have a whole, you know what, we're gonna have an episode about cancellations. We're just gonna call it a cancellation episode. I mean, because I feel that way about R. Kelly, because like, people really hate R. Kelly, and don't get me wrong, I can't, the stuff that Robert Kelly did is absolutely insane, but the music that R. Kelly made, was by far genius.
We're not even talking about just his collection. Like,
we talk about
other people's
B2K, Madonna, Michael Jackson. Look, bringing it back full circle to the Michael Jackson. He wrote for Michael Jackson. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
And I just want to say one thing about Kanye. I'm not excusing Kanye's behavior.
Oh, he's an asshole.
That he has said. I cannot excuse that. We can't put blinders.
Once you start talking about
people's
kids, it just becomes crazy.
We can't.
Yeah,
I didn't even get into that part.
That's
the things that I've seen within the past years is just, it's jaw dropping. It's like, what the fuck?
And it's crazy because people don't even remember he rapped about that. On Life of Pablo, he said, y'all don't want to see me off my Lexapro.
But yeah, I don't.
He said that. He said,
actually,
y'all don't want to see me off my Lexapro. One thing I can't say about him, as bad as he is and as much stuff as he does that I don't agree with, I will always say that he's one of those people that have never denied the fact that he has mental health issues.
Yeah.
Like, he talks about
honesty is the best policy, and that's the first stage to getting help, right? I don't even know how we got on the subject, but let's jump back into the
because we were talking about Michael Jackson and his writer.
You're right. We were talking about that. Now, I want to share a national treasure with you all. And I don't even know the origin of this delicious dish. Maybe I should look it up while we're talking about it. But Tosh actually put me on to this whipped feta.
Because your girl be eating. I be knowing all the spots.
It is the best snack appetizer that I've had in a long time.
I ain't even gonna lie to you. So, we had a pie meeting last week. We had whipped feta. We had some left. I brought some home. I ate what was left. And I literally, in no shame, because I live in this house by myself. I do what I want to because I'm 37 years old and ain't nobody gonna judge me. I put my finger in that bowl and I scraped all the cheese around it and licked my finger because it's that good.
I'm not sure.
Like, I felt so fat.
I'm not sure if you took it too far or not, honestly.
Yeah, because if people have it, they realize it. I don't think that was far enough. Like, I think too far would have been me licking the bowl. Too. Like, yeah, like I literally put my finger in the bowl and scraped the whole inside. And I tried to put it on a little chip, but it didn't work. So I just licked the feta and ate the chips separate.
No, not too much. Not too much.
Like,
a little bit more.
Y'all don't understand.
A little bit more.
It's literally just whipped feta cheese with some olive oil.
Yeah, so, well, it's whipped feta cheese, but apparently it has Greek yogurt in it. It has olive oil, and it has lemon zest in it. Because I looked up how to make this delicious dish at home. And it is a traditional Greek meal. And it's made with Greek feta, typically. But yeah, one of the best things that I've had. And there's a place that offers this delicious dish if you are in Michigan and you want to try it. If you're local, like Metro Detroit area, I'm scared to even tell them. Like what if I go and there's no more left because y'all have gotten a hold to this? I'm just going to tell them. So if you go to Anita's Kitchen, that's in Ferndale.
Yeah, it's in Ferndale.
Yeah,
it's on Woodward.
Ferndale on Woodward. They have delicious whipped feta. It comes with pita chips. I'm pretty sure there are other places too.
Well, there's also an Anita's Kitchen downtown off Griswold and Larned. But I don't know if they have whipped feta there because they call that location AK to go. It's literally only open till like 4:00 because of the business. So to back it up, that was my first introduction to Anita's Kitchen. When my office was downtown on Griswold back in the day, I used to be able to walk to it because it was on the corner. And so they're pretty much just set up for all the office buildings downtown. So they may have the whipped feta
they have
there.
A smaller menu.
Yeah, so they don't have like cocktails or wine and stuff.
They gotta
have
the whipped feta. I feel like that's probably one of their best sellers. It has to be.
Well, I know it is because every time we actually physically go to Anita's and sit down, everybody and their mama ordering it. I keep seeing it coming out on tables.
Well, if you guys are local, just try it out. If you like cheese, if you like a nice dipping situation, a nice appetizer, something refreshing and light and tasty on your palate.
Listen,
try the whipped feta.
It's a perfect girl
Anita's
dinner.
Kitchen.
Perfect girl dinner.
Perfect girl
with
dinner.
Feta.
Paired with
it comes
some
with
wine.
pita chips. You can get them with sea salt or the za'atar seasoning, but we always get it with sea salt chips. Get you a glass of wine, and you got a whole evening.
Get you a glass of wine. I would even top it off with a nice salad, honestly.
Yeah.
Or you can even have it with a smoothie if you're not a wine drinker, not an alcohol drinker.
What is that? The mango tango you get?
I don't even know.
The Wango Tango or whatever.
Maybe it's the Wango Tango, but it was very, very good, very delicious. Yep.
Oh, also too. Well, I don't know if they have it, but I keep forgetting that they do have an Anita's Kitchen in the airport. Oh. I never ever see. I'm bougie.
I'm not going to the airport.
Well, I'm bougie.
If you happen to be in the
airport. I'm
bougie,
so I never fly on that side because it's on the regular side. I fly on the Delta side.
Okay,
that's on the regular, on the Evans terminal. See, McNamara, it don't have a lot of good stuff, but on the Evans terminal they have Anita's Kitchen. Because when I was flying out to Thailand, I stopped at Anita's Kitchen, but they didn't have what I wanted because we flew out of Evans Terminal to go to Thailand. So I will say that.
Well, if you happen to be at the airport, then you have the option to try it there too.
And they have one in Lake Orion.
I'm
looking this up. Yeah. But for the people that's out there, I mean, you never know.
You never know. Well, let's jump into counsel and confessions because I feel that, well, I know because
this is about to get spicy.
I saw one of the entries come in. We have a very spicy entry for you guys this week for counsel and confession. So
without further ado, I'm going to get into it so I can get us going. So I'm going to read this word for word, even the introduction, just because I can do that. And it's our business. So this is from a listener who says, "Hey ladies, I can't wait to see the great things to come from this podcast. I've added you guys to my list. I'll get straight into things." Here is the juicy part. I've always been a little bi-curious, but never fully acted on things. A year or two ago, I met this girl through a mutual friend at a party one night. Not my normal type. And then it says she was a stud, but she was cool. The vibes were there. My homegirl told me prior to that night, and I'm just going to call this person Ashley. Let's call her Ashley. Ashley had a small crush on me. Me being me, I played right into it. Drinks got to flowing, and I ended up pulling her hair to the side to dance. I ended up pulling her to the side to dance. It was hot and heavy, body to body, grinding, real touchy. We exchanged information that night and went from there. Fast forward to a couple months later, my birthday was at 12. I ended up running into her when I was out with my homegirl that night. We ended up going downtown and sipping by the water. I've never kissed a girl before, and I was always too scared, but she brought out that side of me. The more and more we kissed, the more intense things got, and I just knew if I had let her, she would have devoured my then, but I held out. So yeah, she definitely this is just my little commentary. So yeah, she definitely wanted somebody to eat her magic box, as we like to call it. But back to the story. A couple of days later, we linked up again. This time I was out at a bar with my homegirl, and Ashley pulled up on us. Of course, after a few drinks, we get spicy and real touchy, feely with one another. Next thing I know, I'm in the backseat of her car outside the club, legs in the air and my magic box in her mouth. She ate me like she had just came back from the Sahara Desert and needed to be drenched in water. I'm sorry, I had to take a break because I was like, whoa, what? Okay, I could feel my juices overflowing down her face. I was moaning expletives and sliding her fingers in the box. I just knew she was aiming to have me hooked. I moaned back some other expletives, and I arrived at least 4 good times that night. I was glad I finally caved in because she did not disappoint. What a great first experience.
Wow.
All right. So letter's over. And I'm really tripping because what?
It sounds like our listener is living life on the edge and experiencing
Definitely.
things as they come.
Listen.
What a beautiful experience for her.
Cause, y'all was outside the club.
They was outside the club, apparently.
I don't even know what to say. Cause that was a lot. That was very spicy. So those are the kind of confessions I like. Because that got me flabbergasted. It's not a lot of stuff that keeps me speechless. But that's like, So I just want to know, like, to the writer that wrote in, since you probably going to listen to this episode, like, whatever happened? Did you and Miss Ashley ever have any more experiences outside of that? You said that was a great first experience. How long ago was this first experience? And I want to know, did you have any more experiences after that? Like, you ain't got to really tell us the details about them, but I want to know, like, did this, was this a gateway drug into the lady pond? Like, how did this happen? You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to know. Because the way she wrote it make it seem like it was very enjoyable. You know what I'm saying? It was very pleasurable. But I just wanted to know, was this a gateway? Like, are you on the other team now? Are you still on our team and you dibbling that? You know what I'm saying? You playing for both? She like, how we getting down now? I just got questions.
She did mention that she was happy that she let it get that far, right?
Yeah, she said she didn't disappoint. It was a great first experience.
It was a great first experience.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know if there was a next experience, or are you ladies in a relationship now?
Yeah, are y'all just doing it on the side? Did you switch teams permanently? Doing
it on the side.
Like, yeah, like, I don't, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I just want to know. Like, I'm really curious. And that's the only,
doing it on the side with your magic boxes.
Yeah, like, I just want to know, like, y'all still bumping uglies? What's going on? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I be want to know people. As much as I don't care about what other people got going on, once I start hearing stuff, I need to know all the details. And I don't know if it's because I'm a lawyer or if it's because I'm just nosy, but, like, I be needing to know details, because that's like, when you're fighting a case, I need to know all the facts. Like, I need to know how this is going. So when I'm reading this, I just want to know, like, how did this end up? Like, you know what I'm saying? You got a man and a woman, you just with her. Like, what you like now? You know what I'm saying? Like, I got questions.
That's important questions.
Because this was an experience. You all in the car with your legs up in the air. Y'all did this at the club parking lot too. That's what really got me tripping. Y'all said y'all was outside the club.
It must
have like, what club was y'all at?
It got real hot and heavy in the club.
Was this a strip club? Was this a regular club? What kind of club was this?
I feel like telling us the club.
In the club, we all fam. I just want to know.
Are we all fam in the club?
I don't know, cause this ain't the kind of family I got.
These are the kind of cousins.
We ain't kissing cousins over here. I went to law school in Alabama, but I never, took in the Alabama. We don't do incest around here.
Nah,
so we ain't that kind of fam. If we all in the club together and you take me out the club and you put my what's the Beyonce song? I'm not a Beyonce fan, but what's the song they got? It's called Hands to Heaven, or what is it? You got your feet to heaven. You got your legs to heaven? Because that's what that was. She said you was in a car with your legs in the air in the back seat.
I don't know. Hey, send us a follow-up. If you hear
we need a follow-up.
We would love to hear a follow-up of how this went.
Because if this was your experience, if you wrote us in, this was your experience. Write us in and give us a follow-up. We need a part 2. Like, what y'all doing? Are you still cool with her? Because you told us another name. I ain't gonna lie. You told us another name in the thing, and I subbed for Ashley because I didn't know if the name you gave us was too close to the real name or not. But if this was your story. Write us in and give us a part 2 because we need to know. Did you and Ashley end up hooking up? Did y'all not? I need to know, because I like follow-ups. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's weird. Let's talk about that really quick. I love to get a follow-up to a story, but I hate when a show or a book just draws it on too long. Like, I be wanting to know the end of certain stories, but I hate for it to just draw on too long. You know what I'm saying? Like, give me enough good ending and then just leave it at that. So, yeah, just write us back and let us know. Like,
well,
you and Ashley still creeping? Or nah?
Find out on the next
episode. Because I need to know if you and Ashley still creeping.
Counseling confessions.
Because that was a lot. I do like that, though. So, like I keep telling y'all, give us all the tea. I just need to know. Like, this is the kind of counseling confessions that we be needing to hear.
Yeah, so if you have an interesting story, you know, whether it's that level of spice or maybe it's a little bit more mild, just hit us up at thesoulfulstir@gmail.com, or you can send it to us via DM on Instagram at thesoulfulstir. We will get it. We would love to read it and share it on air.
Y'all know I be talking crazy, but I really mean that. Like, it doesn't have to be explicit. It doesn't have to be spicy. Tell us about that time you stole from your job. You know what I'm saying? You can tell us anything. You know what I'm saying? Did you walk out your job with 3 reams of paper and 5 boxes of paper clips? Please tell us your story. Like, it don't gotta be that serious. I just want to know, like, you know, I feel like sometimes we hold on to stories that are very interesting and we don't feel like we have a safe space to tell them. And I feel like this is a safe space.
But
like,
I believe this is a safe space too. And with that being said, I will have a story for y'all. I will have a few stories for y'all because I've experienced a very interesting
I got a
shit.
lot. I've lived a life.
I've experienced some interesting things, and I'm going to share them with y'all. I said this on Facebook today when I shared your post about the pod, Tosh. I said that this is the most that y'all will hear me talk, because if you know me in real life, if you know me in real life and you know me from a very intimate perspective, yes, I do talk. But if you know me just publicly speaking, I'm not a woman of many words unless I know you like that, if you will. So from that standpoint, this is the most that you all will hear me talk publicly. And with that being said, I want to jump into our final segment and wrap up, because guess what, Tosh? We're almost at 2 hours.
Jesus, I figured you was about to say that, and I was scared.
Well, I want to just say, again, follow us on YouTube. We are slow rolling this pod, and again, very excited about it. And we're looking to get our followers and subscribers up. We're looking to get our views up. So join us and play our episodes on YouTube at The Soulful Stir. If you type in The Soulful Stir or The Soulful Stir podcast on YouTube, our page will pop up. Go ahead and hit subscribe and listen, play it back, if you will. We love it and we appreciate you all. Another thing that I want to add is that I am taking clients once again. I've been on a little bit of hiatus with my doula work because there has been a shift in my focus, and I'll share at a later date what I've been working on aside from being a part of this wonderful fellowship. But if you are pregnant, or you have a friend that is pregnant, a family member that's interested in receiving doula services, contact me at Art of Doula on Instagram. Or you can send me an email at info@diamondsimone.com. And that's Simone with a Y, SYMONE.com. Let's chat. Let's talk about what your goals are. And let's see how I can assist you. That's it for my announcements. Tosh, you got anything?
Outside of, once again, plugging in our YouTube, not only do we want you to subscribe to the YouTube channel, once again, please engage with us on whatever platform feels comfortable for you, whether it's YouTube or Instagram. Please leave us feedback, engage with the post, like the post, please repost it, do us like what I like to call free favors, and just repost the pod, let people know that you're listening and you want them to listen on too, so you guys have something to discuss and things of that nature. Also, I do want you guys to be following us, and not only that, but shouting us out to your followers and to your family and friends. We are planning some good upcoming giveaways from one of our sponsors, not only Ladybug Organics, but some other sponsors and some other things that we're trying to work and other people we're trying to work with to sponsor giveaways. So please be just abreast of that, and just looking forward to those. We're going to announce them as we decide to do them. In addition, also, we're looking to plan, I'm not getting too far ahead, but we are looking to plan and start hosting some meet and greets where you can meet myself and Diamond and fellowship with other people, other listeners of the pod. So also be looking out for announcements regarding that. We will once again, some events will be free, some will require tickets, but we are once again looking to start incorporating not only live shows but meet and greets, so you guys can get to see us and interact with us as host and as essentially cast of this podcast, so you can get to know who we are. We can get to know you all, and just grow this community as we see fit.
Yeah, I'm super excited for what's to come. We're looking forward to connecting with you all. Again, we really appreciate you guys supporting us on this quest. We can't stress that enough.
Yeah, the support has been extremely good thus far. And just to think this is only our 3rd episode. So shout out to everybody who's listening, who has listened, who has followed us on all platforms. We can't do this without you all. There would be no podcast without you all's listening and future viewership in the future when we do start doing visuals or visual episodes. So I want to just thank you guys. I can't thank you guys enough for taking time out of your day and your schedules throughout your weeks to listen to us. Thank you so much. I can't stress that enough, how thankful I am that you guys are interested in us and what we have going on, and that you are excited to be a part of this community, because essentially, though this is a podcast, we are essentially growing a community, and we would love to have you all a part of it. And thank you guys for everything that you're doing to assist us in growing this community.
For sure. So with that being said, this has been another episode of the Soulful Stir. I'm Diamond Simone.
And I'm Tosh.
And we'll talk to you soon.
Later.